Hey there, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle D'Onofrio. I teach trauma-informed holistic healing and empowerment for adult children of dysfunctional families. I'm here today to talk to you about trauma responses, and we're going to dig into what trauma responses are, the wrong way to deal with trauma responses and the right way to deal with trauma responses. And now this is a very broad subject because for the most part, the reason we come to the journey to begin with is because we're struggling and we're suffering, and the struggle and the suffering is almost always due to the fact that we are living our lives still traumatized. And so our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions are still, in a way, protecting us from traumatic experiences that happened in the past, traumatic circumstances, people, right, that may not even be in our lives right now as adults, but our body and our mind are still reacting as if they are, and those reactions can sabotage the things that we want to do in our lives and the interactions and relationships that we have with the people we love. So it's no wonder why we want to resolve these trauma responses. We just have to know the right way to do it because it can be very frustrating. Trauma responses can leave us feeling very shameful and embarrassed and frustrated. But we're going to let all of those negative emotions go today because, again, we're going to talk about what these trauma responses are, why we actually should honor them before we start to focus on how to actually resolve them and take back control of our lives. So before we dive in, if you're new here, consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get alerted when I release new videos. Again, I work with adult children of dysfunctional family systems. My signature methodology is called the Restorative Lifestyle Method, formerly referred to as Rehab for Everyone. I have renamed that now that my book is largely published on Substack and with new chapters releasing almost daily. The Restorative Lifestyle Method is a 4-step healing and empowerment program for childhood trauma survivors, cycle breaker parents, adult children of alcoholics, adult children of any form of dysfunctional family system, because of what it helps you do is create an entire life ecosystem that helps you unravel your traumas, replace your false beliefs, and really start to create a life that you love. This is concrete action steps. We're not talking about abstract spiritual concepts. We are talking about things you can do in your everyday life starting right now to, usher forward your personal transformation so that you are no longer under the control of your trauma responses and you actually can recognize what's going on and you can start living like a healthy, functional person. And you may be living like a healthy, functional person right now, right? Our struggles all exist on a spectrum. You could have just one area of your life where you're really struggling to thrive and you just can't figure out why. Or it could be a lot of areas of your life. We're all different. We all come into adulthood with so many different experiences. But the Restorative Lifestyle Method is for anybody. It's actually a really healthy and productive way for anybody to live. But what it does is it helps people who came up in dysfunctional circumstances learn to function in their everyday lives in a very healthy and functional way. And that in and of itself, those actions that we can take, those boundaries that we can set in our lives, the way that we take care of ourselves can actually be, it actually is. It is the way to essentially live out therapy. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody who has been in your shoes and figured out how to transform my life. And it was so profound and so empowering for me that I had to write it. I had to turn it into a actionable, step-by-step process for other people who are in the shoes I was in 13 years ago, who want to make change in their life. And 13 years ago, I was a new mom, and the birth of my son just sort of broke me open and showed me right in front of my face that I needed to heal, that I needed to fix things if I wanted a different life for my children, if I wanted to enjoy motherhood, if I wanted a great life. So I am here teaching you what I have learned, and it has been over a decade of research, trainings, testing everything under the sun, it seems like. Lots of trial and error and figuring out what works. And once I figured it out, how could I not communicate it back to you guys? And it's actually not that complicated. Things unfold in the most beautiful ways, healing and empowerment and happiness. It just unfolds naturally when you know the things to do, when you know the things to look for, when you sort of have an idea of what to expect, because when you don't have anyone sharing those things with you, it all is just such a mystery. And there's always going to be a little bit of mystery to it because you're peeling back layers and you don't know entirely what to expect. But when someone has come before you, like myself or any of the other authors and coaches out there, and they're willing to say, hey, this is actually kind of how it goes down, and this is the stuff that works, that is the stuff to take advantage of it. Whether it's my work or it's another coach's or author's work, go to the people who have been in your shoes, not just the therapists and the psychologists and the doctors or whatever. Go to them. There's a place for these people somewhere, probably. I don't know. The jury's still out, in my opinion. But go to people, even if you want to see a therapist, a licensed therapist, right? Or if you want to see a medical professional, try to put in the legwork to find somebody who has been in your shoes, who has experienced what you have experienced, because that is really the best way to get effective advice, advice that's actually has a chance of working for you. And so, yeah, this is just, someone who's been in your shoes, passing along what the journey looks like, what works along the journey. And in my book, The Restorative Lifestyle Method, you're not just getting the action steps. This is a 4-step approach. You're getting the action steps, but you're also getting a bunch of my own personal stories, and you're getting practices and essentially a blueprint for how to use a redesigned lifestyle to help you unravel your traumas and your false beliefs and the behaviors that are sort of sabotaging the life that you want to have, to completely transform your life. So it is possible. There is so much hope. I know it can feel frustrating when you're in the beginning of the journey. It can feel impossible, but it is so possible. And actually, the second you set the intention, if you haven't already, to embark on this journey, you are going to be just blown away by how quickly the results start to show up. Now, the journey lasts a lifetime, 100%. I'm 13 years in and I'm still unraveling things and finding out new things about myself. But the second you start the journey and you start to engage in certain healing practices and you start to just become conscious and aware of the fact that you want to heal, or that you want to embrace the next level of healing if you've already been on the journey, it's just incredible how things start to unravel and unfold in the best ways. And that doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable sometimes, because it is. But the other benefit of reading the Restorative Lifestyle Method on Substack is you get to join other people along the journey, and you get to join me, and I'm there in the comments engaging with my readers, and we get to talk it out, and that supportive community is so helpful along the journey. So you can read the Restorative Lifestyle Method on Substack. There are about 14 chapters live right now, which gets you through the introduction, a lot of the background, some of my personal story, and it takes you into the first pillar, which is boundaries, and actually almost all the way through boundaries. And like I said, there's new chapters posting almost daily. I'm getting them up as fast as I can. If you go over there right now, that is what is up. And you actually get the introduction and the first 3 chapters for free, so that you can just check it out. I want you to be able to check it out, read the work, and decide if it feels like the right fit for you. And then if you decide to keep going, I wanted to make this as accessible and easy as possible for as many people as possible. It is only $12 a month to subscribe and read the book at your own pace. When you're done reading the book, you can either stay for the community and for the discussion and for access to coaching, or you can cancel your membership because you've read the book already. It's totally up to you. I think you'll want to stick around, but you could read it in 1 month and it's only $12. So I really want to make this sort of base methodology available for you in a very, really easy and accessible way. But you don't have to have the Substack app, but if you do, it's a little bit easier to navigate, but you can do that on your desktop, on your mobile phone, or on a mobile app, and it's Easy peasy. Okay, so of course I have links in the description below to everything for you. So go ahead and look down there if you want to jump right into reading the chapters of the Restorative Lifestyle Method. Otherwise, in today's video, we are going to dive into trauma responses. And I am also going to include a link to the original article for this video, which is also on Substack. So if you'd rather just read this instead of watch the video, that's always available too. Just go ahead and check out that link. So I've got the article right here with me, and I sort of gave you the introduction. Trauma responses, they're sort of the reason we come to the journey in the first place, but sometimes we don't know to call them trauma responses, right? Because we're just struggling. We're just like, if everything feels like it's hard, we feel like we're just stressed, and we're sometimes full of shame, and we're just sort of surviving. We're just getting through our days. And why? We're just racking our brains. Why is this not easier? Life should feel a whole lot better than it does right now. And, you know, again, one of the reasons is that before you start the journey, if you have survived a dysfunctional childhood, most likely, if you have not engaged in any type of intentional healing, you've brought dysfunctional habits and thoughts and beliefs and traits and all that kind of stuff with you into adulthood. And, you know, a lot of those things, we honor them because the habits and the beliefs that we picked up as kids, that was part of our survival system. So we honor those things because they really helped us get through some tough stuff. Okay, but the problem is that when we bring them into adulthood, they don't serve us as well. They start to sabotage things like our dreams and our relationships and the type of parent that we want to be. So we really have to figure out how to resolve them. And I want to start talking first. Actually, we're going to talk about, let's go over a couple of examples about, you know, like what trauma responses might look like. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list that I have here. I'm going to read through it. And I'll also, again, this list is on the article if you want to click over to that, and, you know, you can print it out or, you know, do whatever you want. But let's go through some of these. It's not an all-inclusive list, but it's just, you know, some common responses, emotional responses that adult children of dysfunctional families can experience that can really get in the way of thriving in your life. So intense emotional reactions that feel out of proportion with overwhelming guilt or shame after an outburst or a breakdown. Impulsive or regrettable actions like quitting a job without preparation or cutting off a friend. Heightened sensitivity to rejection or criticism. Pushing people away before they could possibly hurt you, leaving you kind of isolated with not many friends because you push them all away. Defensiveness or needing to prove yourself all the time. Avoiding situations, ghosting people, or shutting down emotionally, you know, when avoiding phone calls or ignoring texts and things like that. People pleasing to the point of self-sacrifice because we're trying to avoid conflict, or we're trying to avoid judgment, or we're trying to avoid abandonment. Procrastinating, overworking, or obsessing over details out of anxiety. I'm sure some of you guys have struggled with perfectionism, which is, you know, really just our way of not moving forward because we're afraid. We're afraid of failure or not being perfect. Fawning or excessively apologizing when we don't even actually have to. Feeling shame when we're unable to fix situations or people and their struggles, and overspending or binge eating or numbing out with drugs or alcohol or food. So these are just a couple of, or a number of examples of trauma responses that sabotage where we want to go and what we want to do in our lives and our relationships, right? The first one, intense emotional reactions that feel out of proportion. That was always a big one for me, especially when I became a parent. I noticed that, you know, I was so easily triggered, and I would have this flood of just like anger or irritability, and I would feel so guilty afterwards because that's not the way I wanted to behave. And every time it happened to me, and this is the part where we talk about what doesn't work and not to feel ashamed or embarrassed of it. Every time I would sort of be flooded with the anger, and I'd say things or behave in a way that I wasn't proud of, I would feel so embarrassed and so ashamed. And that happened for years, honestly. Like, this was years of my life that I would just feel so shameful about how I would behave in certain situations. And I experienced a number of those other trauma responses on that list. I'm sure you guys have as well. Actually, if you want to share, feel free to go ahead in the comments, whether you're watching this on YouTube, if you're reading the article on Substack, go ahead in the comments and let me know some of your experiences with trauma responses, which ones on here you may have experienced and how you feel afterwards, only if you're comfortable sharing. But it's a great way to engage with the community and, start to open up if that is something that you want to do. But yeah, so I would always feel horrible. And what I realized over time, and again, this was years, it went on for years because I didn't know what was happening and I didn't know how to fix it. And what I eventually realized is that you cannot control a trauma response in the heat of the moment. So you can't all of a sudden feel the anger coming on and all of a sudden you're in an emotional response and you feel that anger. You're not going to be able to pause and say like, no, don't feel angry anymore. Stop, you need to stop that. You just cut it out or don't let that happen again. Like that's not going to work because the anger is our body and whatever we end up saying or how we behave, that is our body and our mind. It's the holistic self minus the authentic self behaving in a way that believes it's protecting us, right? Those are protective, like defense mechanisms. It's survival. That is our survival mentality coming out trying to protect us. And you can't just say quit it in the moment, right? What you can do is you can breathe through it. And you can do your very best to recognize, now this is as you get into the healing process, but you can do your best to sort of recognize what's happening, name it, try to breathe through it, right? And, limit the damage that you cause by saying things that you regret, for example, and then let it pass, right? And now that's going to happen. The trauma responses are going to happen. What will happen though, as you begin healing is that they'll become fewer and further between. You'll diffuse the intensity, you'll diffuse the frequency of those trauma responses, and eventually I'm at a point now, 13 years in, where the second a trauma response starts to come on, and again, what happens, I actually wasn't planning to include this bit in this video, but it's very interesting because what happens is you start to, as you go, through the healing journey, you're going to have these trauma responses and you're going to realize what your triggers are. And then they become fewer and farther between, and then they're very sort of cell. For me, they don't happen very often anymore. Where it used to be maybe a daily occurrence, like now it's like, I'll go months feeling like, whoa, I'm in really great shape, right? And then all of a sudden I'll get triggered, and I'm like, I thought I resolved that trigger, but actually, I didn't. There's something deeper now that is still triggering that response, and now I have to go digging. I have to go exploring and figuring out, okay, I thought I resolved the triggers for that response, like what is happening right now? And then I learn all new things about myself. And that is why we always say that the journey lasts a lifetime, because we're always learning new things about ourselves. We're always peeling back more and more layers. And as we do that, life gets better and better and better. And you don't have to wait until you're 13 years in. Like I said, the second you embark on this journey, you're going to start to learn things about yourself and resolve things that immediately lead to your life getting better and better little by little over time. So you should feel so much hope and so excited about this journey. Yes, it gets uncomfortable at times, but when you put in the work, only good things, only good progress can happen, right? Of course, it's up and down like this, but you're going in the trajectory of creating a life that you love and a life that feels better, and that where there are better outcomes and healthier relationships, and you're moving towards your dreams because you are putting in that work. So again, I take you through all of the steps in so much detail with personal stories and practices and routines and everything that you need in my book, The Restorative Lifestyle Method. So go ahead and check that out on Substack. But so yeah, we're not going to stop a trauma response in the heat of the moment. And once you sort of acknowledge that, we can let go of the shame and the embarrassment. Your body is just trying to protect you. It's scared of something, okay? And it's responding like that because it doesn't want that thing, whatever happened in the past, to happen again. And it assumes that it might happen again. And so it's trying to protect you. It's trying to, like, you might dissociate. You're getting mad because you're trying to maybe push someone away, or you're trying to control a situation that's making you feel nervous or anxious, or like you're going to be abandoned. Like there's so many different reasons why we react the way we react. What we have to do is we have to back up. Back up, back up, back up. We have to go much broader and we have to go much deeper in order to diffuse the trauma responses and, start to increase the amount of time where we are behaving and thinking and believing from our authenticity, from the authentic self beneath our survival layers, right? Because right now it's just like we're shooting from our layers. We're just shooting from our layers. We're talking, we're thinking, we're behaving from our survival layers. And as we peel those away, we start to expose not only the traumas that make up our survival layers, but we start to allow the authentic self to come more and more to the surface, and then we can operate from the authentic self. And that is a place of peace and calm and confidence and joy and hopefulness and our personal power, essentially. So we expose the authentic self slowly but surely. And the second it starts to see the light of day, your life is going to improve. So in order to do that, we have to heal. Okay, so what does healing mean? And part of me doesn't even love the word heal, because when you think of healing, you think of like, okay, if I have like a broken leg or I'm sick or something, like, what does healing mean? It means like resting and just kind of staying still, letting your body do the work. And while there is rest involved in the healing journey, this is a very active and intentional process. This is like you are going to start doing things that allow you to prove new truths to yourself, right? You have a certain set of beliefs, survival beliefs right now, and we sort of go on a journey through the restorative lifestyle method, the 4 steps, which are boundaries, movement, exploration, and energetic self-care. These are all active steps, right? We're setting boundaries to create a protective and nurturing space for our healing and growth journey. And as we set boundaries, we realize that boundaries essentially help us to define who we are, and because they sort of start to create the lines around our identity. And to say, I am me, I am myself, I am my authentic self. I am different. I have my own unique interests and my own unique thoughts and my own unique dreams. And we start to unmesh, I don't even know if that's a word, but we start to unmesh ourselves from the dysfunctional relationships that sort of we came up in childhood. And we start to realize that we are a unique individual person. And boundaries also help us to create our reality, because we're starting to say, I won't tolerate this, I will tolerate this, I do like this, I don't like that, I want these people in my life, these people don't treat me right, so they're not allowed. And we also set boundaries with our own unhealthy habits. So we start to step into creative control of our lives. That's part of stepping into your personal power, to carve a path through life that actually feels good and is leading you where you want to go, as opposed to just responding to the default people and circumstances that you find yourself around, again, by default. So boundaries help us protect ourselves, define ourselves, and create the path forward. And that is step 1 of the methodology. Now, step 2 is movement, and I break movement down into 2 categories, and that is physical exercise and life flow. So physical exercise, everyone knows that helps us reduce stress, because we release endorphins, and overall our body is just going to feel better through fitness, because we're actually becoming healthier. And we go into great detail about that, and I also give you exercise routines and practices, and we talk about different types of exercise and why they're important, what they're good for. And then life flow, the life flow section of movement, really just brings to the forefront of our consciousness that we actually have the power to direct the flow of our lives. We don't have to just flow with whatever life throws at us. We can make decisions. We can set boundaries. We can decide where we want to go. I think I say in the book, we can drop oars into the water of our little rowboat through life and start to direct our flow, or to choose our direction rather. And that these are really fun. I mean, I think all of the sections of this book are so rich and so critical to the journey. Life flow is one of those things where I was just so excited to write that, because it's really kind of amazing how long we can go through life not realizing that we can make changes when things aren't working. We can go the direction that we want to go. Like, we're adults now. We don't need permission, right? And now pillar 3 is, or step 3 is exploration. And exploration is when we start to really assess what's showing up in our lives that we can now notice because we've set the boundaries and we have the space to notice, right? And we're starting to move our body, which means we're dislodging traumas and we're dislodging old buried emotions. And those things are starting to come to the surface so that we can assess them, we can resolve them. And as we resolve them, we just peel back the more and more layers. Again, exposing more and more of the authentic self. And then in step 4 or pillar 4, that is energetic self-care, where we focus on raising our vibration. We take a look at the emotional guidance scale. We start to study different emotional states and their relative frequency to each other, and how we can use the emotional guidance scale as a map of sorts through the healing journey. So that is a really fun section, the last section of the book, because we talk about healing modalities that can help us raise our vibe. So all of the things that we're doing throughout the journey, throughout the restorative lifestyle method, are things that are going to raise our vibration. But in energetic self-care, we talk about external modalities that we can use to sort of supplement that process. So we talk about yoga and meditation, crystal healing, essential oils, music and dance, and all of that kind of fun stuff, which, all of those modalities help us to raise our vibration in a particular moment. Let's say on a day where we're sort of struggling, or in a moment, let's say with our kids, where we feel like everyone's in a funk and we really just need some help lifting our spirits, right? But we can also use them to help us raise our vibration overall. And here's the thing about raising your vibe. When you raise your vibration, you feel better. And when you feel better, you're less likely to have those sort of negative or undesirable emotional responses, because you just feel good. And you're not as inclined to respond, in a way that sabotages an experience or a relationship. So essentially the high vibes and the positive feelings of being, joyful or peaceful or confident, they kind of come in and displace the trauma. And so instead of having trauma responses that can be harsh or damaging, we're having positive responses and joyful responses. And so, it does take time and consistency, but it works like magic. And I've just been, again, my whole reason for writing this book is that I was blown away by the realities of this journey. Totally blown away at what it really looks like to heal, at what it really feels like to transform your life. And it's just so fascinating. It's fascinating and it's exciting, because we, again, are stepping into our personal power to create a life that we love. Like, you really do have that power within you, even if you are really at the point right now where you're struggling and you don't quite see how to make it happen. I am here to help you make it happen. There are very definitive action steps that you can do to start creating a lifestyle that transforms your life. And it's stuff that you're going to integrate into whatever you're doing right now. If you're a mom, if you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom, or you're a dad, maybe you're a corporate executive, whoever you are, it doesn't matter what is already part of your life, because these are things that anyone can integrate. Just like you would go to the gym in the morning, or you would read a book at night, these are things that you are going to sprinkle into your existing life to start to, it's a therapeutic lifestyle. You're going to start to create, with the restorative lifestyle method, you're going to create a therapeutic lifestyle for yourself, to help you, again, unravel your traumas and false beliefs, and really step into your personal power and the creative control that you really do have to design a life that you love for yourself and for your own family, who, if you have a family, I'm sure one of your goals is to break the cycle so that they don't have to experience the difficulty that you experienced when you were young, right? That if you're a parent, most of us who have experienced difficult things in the past come into parenthood like, I want to give better and do better for my children. And it's hard to do that when you are still carrying so much trauma from childhood, right? So it's so important, especially if you're a parent, but for anybody, if you want to thrive in your life and go achieve your dreams and enjoy your dreams when you achieve them, right? You have to resolve those things, at least to a degree, right? Again, we're healing for our entire lives. This is like, we're embarking on a whole new lifestyle that it's a therapeutic lifestyle, but it's the lifestyle of self-discovery. It's about learning about ourselves and freeing ourselves from, the traumas and the experiences and the beliefs that sort of held us back. whether it's up to this point or up to a certain point. And, you may be coming to this journey right at the beginning and you're like, you haven't done any healing yet. This is all new. Or maybe you've done healing before. You've maybe dabbled in some healing modalities. Maybe you've seen therapists or life coaches and you're looking to get to the next level. This is good for anyone because you can scale the energy and the degree to which you engage with the 4 pillars of the restorative lifestyle method. It's very scalable, it's very flexible, and it is here for you. So that wraps up our discussion on trauma responses for today. I imagine we will get into very specific trauma responses at some point here on the channel, but I really wanted to cover the broad topic so that you guys firstly understand that trauma responses is not about controlling it in the moment and having better control, because we don't gain back our control by exerting control. It's about stepping back and getting to the root cause of our trauma responses, and that is the traumas, right? We have to figure out how to heal those things. And another one of the reasons that I really wanted to write my book and developed the restorative lifestyle method is so that people would understand that I think it can be frustrating to only hear the abstract spiritual concepts around healing, because what does healing even mean, right? Like, people want to know, what do I do? Like, tell me what to do right now. Tell me what to do this week and next week and the week after that. And what am I supposed to expect and do with the things that show up as I'm engaging in these practices and mindset techniques and things like that, right? I have all of the actionable steps, specific mindset practices, personal stories, and the community to support you along the way here in the Restorative Lifestyle Method. So go ahead and take a look at the book over on Substack. Again, I have a link in the description below. It's $12 a month to subscribe for as long as you want access to the chapters and the community. Cancel anytime you want, and check out the introduction and the first 3 chapters, totally free, no risk, to just see if it feels like it's the right fit for you. So head on over there and definitely leave me a comment when you get over there. Say hi. I will definitely get back to you, and we'll take it from there. So if you've made it this far through the video, thank you so much, and I hope it was helpful. If it was, I'd love for you to hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next video, and hopefully I'll see you over on Substack in the Restorative Lifestyle Method. Take care.